प्राणनाथ अनाथ सके, प्राणनाथ अनाथ सके, दीन दर्द निवार, हे गोविंद हे गोपाल, हे गोविंद हे गोपाल, हे दयालनाथ, हे दयालनाथ। हे समरथ अगम्य पूरन, हे समरथ अगम्य पूरन, हे समरथ अगम्य पूरन, नानक पार उतार, हे गोविंद हे गोपाल, हे गोविंद हे गोपाल, हे दयालनाथ, हे दयालनाथ, हे दयालनाथ, हे दयालनाथ, हे गोविंद हे गोपाल, हे दयालनाथ, हे दयालनाथ, हे दयालनाथ, हे दयालनाथ। कभी कभी ऐसा वक्त आता है जब प्रश्न ज्यादा आते हैं और जवाब कम। और ऐसी अवस्था में, ऐसी परिस्थिति में, या तो हम हार सकते हैं, हार जाते हैं। ये एक विकल्प है कि हम हार जाएं। और दूसरा एक विकल्प भी है जो अभी अभी मुझे आ रहा है। कुछ दिनों से पहला ही विकल्प आ रहा था। जब हम जो ये संकुचित, कंचुक, जो लिमिटेड सेल्फ है, उसकी दिव्यता पर हमें प्रश्न आ जाता है, शक आ जाता है। जब हम देखते हैं so much injustice, so many atrocities, so much disturbance, millions of lives displaced, millions of little children hurt mentally, emotionally, and even worst of all, physically, like the war in Ukraine is these days, but mankind has been at war for centuries. And we wonder, I mean, it is beyond the comprehension of the mind. In what way is this an expression of divinity? How people, given a chance, given a chance, they will loot, they will kill, they will maim, they will torture without any particular benefit to anybody. How this can happen? And and then the question, another question comes up, that if they did this at the first opportunity that they could get away with it, what does it say about the times when they were not doing it? Was it only because they couldn't get away with it? That is the only reason that stopped them from committing atrocities? That the minute they could get away with it, they are, you know, young boys, 18 years old, 20 years old, 22 years old, committing thoughtless and unthinkable actions in today's day and age when we are approaching the so called enlightenment age. So, there are actually at least three choices that we have in this kind of situation, in this thought process. And for the last few days, I have been only the churning that has been going on for me is only with the first choice. But choice number two and choice number three. Choice number two occurred to me just about 10 minutes before we started today. And choice number three actually came to me after I started, after we all gathered. So it is this, the energy of your presence, which is allowing this third choice also to appear. So the first choice is the normal, usual choice, which I was also um, sort of um, getting um, pulled into, that maybe this whole human experiment of consciousness, this particular manifestation by consciousness of human beings. Yes, there are many wonderful things, but is this really a successful experiment? Is it time to hit the reset button and start all over? And so I have been in that space. But fortunately, because of all the momentum of all the meditation and all the sadhana and all the teaching and learning that has happened, uh, we're still going, still going, still going. Um, but um, today, at least, I seriously considered that maybe we are missing something. Maybe we are not getting it. Maybe I'm missing the point. There's something here beyond us. But and in that thought, I was saying, ki, okay, let me simply be with myself for a while, maybe a few days, few weeks, few months, few years, I don't know, and 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 just wait till that clarity is there. But but somehow I just brought myself here. I just brought myself here because somehow I just know, even in the midst of all the questions, in the midst of all the questions, I know the direction is clear. That the direction is towards that oneness. Whether this particular brain, this particular mind, this particular body understands or not, it doesn't matter. That the oneness, the consciousness, the true self uh, must continue, must keep on bringing what its quality is to the forefront, to the table. And that is the only reason I literally had to bring myself to log in to Zoom and just be here. And and just after I made that decision, choice number two and choice number three popped up. So it was as if consciousness telling me, yes बेटा, तुमको कुछ समझ में नहीं आता है, लेकिन चलते रहो, बने रहो, लगे रहो मुन्ना भाई. Lage raho Munna bhai. In fact, my dad used to call me Munna. That was his name for me, Munna. And when I grew up a little bit, it was Munna ji. Kaise ho Munna ji? But it was always Munna. And so लगे रहो मुन्ना भाई सोचकर हम लगे रहे. तो दूसरा जो विकल्प है, जो which came to me, is of surrender, just surrender, just give up. Just give up. हार जाने से अच्छा है हार मान ले। हार जाने से बेहतर है कि हम हार मान ले, यार अरे हमारे बस की बात नहीं है, हमारे ब्रेन के, हमारे ये जो लिमिटेड फॉर्म है, उसके बाहर, उसके आगे, उसके बहुत विशाल कुछ है जो हमारी समझ के बाहर है। एंड ये पहले भी हम बात कर चुके हैं, वी हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट दिस बिफोर, हाउ you and I cannot even run our body for 10 seconds. We don't have that intelligence. The body runs on its own. If the body was handed over to our control, to our intelligence, our limited brain, and said, okay, now you run these cells, these 6 trillion cells, what reaction they are supposed to do at what time, how much salt to take in, how much electrolyte or how much nutrition, how much waste to take out, each cell you manage. We cannot do it even for half a millisecond. तो हमारे बस की बात है ही नहीं, ये अपने आप सब हो रहा है। सो हार जाने से अच्छा है हार मान लेना। तो so we consciously relinquish control, relinquish this thought that that I know that I know anything. Relinquish that thought that I, this particular individual body mind, this name, really knows nothing, is nothing, and that attempting to fit the universe into some model is futile. It is. This is the classic sentence of science fiction movies. Resistance is futile. Where the conqueror, but it's in a different context. The conqueror comes and tells everyone to surrender. Resistance is futile because you cannot survive. But this is as a conscious choice, as a choice that really, no matter how fancy the idea, no matter how elegant, we are not equipped. We are not equipped to really know, and any pretense to know is only a temporary pretense. हम अपने आप को थोड़ा सा कुछ समय के लिए बहला देते हैं कि हम जानते हैं, हम समझ जाते हैं, वरना it's really beyond anyone. And anyone who really claims that they have all the answers is missing something. And but the questions are important. Asking the questions are important. Asking the questions takes us in the direction where we want to go. Knowing the answers really is pointless, but asking the right questions is important. So जब हम हार मान जाते हैं और उसी को सोच के मैंने ये क्या कर सकते हैं फिर? हम हार मान गए, फिर क्या? भजन करो बस। भजन करो। that's that's all that remains. Naam smaran, surrendering this body mind uh, to this higher, infinite. Zen Buddhism में there is a um These koans I've talked to you about before, but one of the koans is the chaotic mind cannot be grasped. And the next sentence is the calm mind cannot be grasped. So if you can grasp that you cannot grasp anything, then hang on to that for dear life, because we are really not in control. So that is the second choice. And the third choice is something even more subtle, that so the second choice goes to the extent of saying that we surrender. And when there is surrender, what is left? There is only prayer, there is only meditation, there is devotion, there is song, there is puja, there is just nothing, there is silence. And um, and there is meditation, which is automatic, because you are at a loss of words, at a loss of completely understanding that this is so beyond my limited understanding, that you're only left with prayer, 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 which is prayer. And prayer is nothing but this limited self speaking with, or being silent with, the true self, being in silence with the true self. And just waiting, waiting, waiting. I think I've shared this story once before, about person who would come to the church, not during the normal service and all that, but he would just come to the church and sit on the bench and be in silent prayer for a very long time. And after watching this for many days, the priest uh, who was taking care of that church used to see this person coming so often and sitting for so long. And um and asked him a question. He says, "What? I see you sitting here and praying for so long. I mean, I can imagine a prayer for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but for hours you are saying something in a prayer to God. What do you have to say? What is it that you have so much to say to divine?" And he says, "I'm not saying anything. I'm only listening. I'm only listening." Oh, he says, "Oh, okay. That's interesting. Okay, then tell me one thing. What so many things the divine have to say to you, that you are listening for hours and hours, you are listening. What is the divine saying to you?" And he says, he is also not saying anything. He is also only listening. He is also only listening. We are both just listening. And that is the magic of prayer, to be in that state of simply listening, listening, listening. Knowing that we don't have any answers, knowing that we don't have the answers, all we can do is to listen. And it's all only just a dream, all just a story. There's only listening, there is no telling. So listening and listening. So this is the second option. And the third option that occurred to me, it was kind of like, it reminds me of another Zen story where there is a great Zen master and all his disciples have gathered, and each one of them is coming to, has very deep questions and very deep things to say, and each one of them is sharing their insights, their views, their questions. They're all sharing one after the other their depth of so much knowledge, so much meditation, so much sadhana. And each one is sharing one after the other. And finally, they stop and they are waiting for the master to say something now, because they've all spoken and spoken, and so this, they're all waiting, and and the master stands up and says, let's all have some tea. And what is the message of that? What is the message? So there is surrenderfulness, there is sadhana, there is devotion, there is meditation, there is prayer, and there is tapasya, and there is surrenderfulness, and all of this wonderful stuff, which is wonderful, much better than a lot of things that this individual little self is capable of doing. This is much, much higher, much, much better than that. But what is even beyond that? That was the message being conveyed by that master when he said, come, come, let's have some tea. What was the message in that statement? Anyone care to take a guess? What is the message?
Drop everything, let it be.
True, true. Yeah, that is true. But in the context of this little self that has, ideas about prayer and meditation and surrender and all that, in that context, what is the message? It's true, drop everything, let it be, you're very close. But in the context of the little self, the small self and the true self, there's a small self which realizes finally, okay, just give it up, man, you can't do it, just give it up. Just be in prayer, just be in devotion, be in sadhana, be in meditation, all that. In the context of that conversation, what is the message of the there is no message, just being present. Okay, that's similar to what yeah, Jennifer ji said. Very close, but yeah. Pratibha Ben bolo. She's just unmute. Unmute.
To get a wake up and be continue.
Yeah, yeah, wake up and continue with whatever life is. Yes, that is
Like
also,
is that wake
yeah,
up means
just
be
wake up and
alert,
be alert and
continue.
continue with life. Chitra bolo.
Just be.
Just be. Yeah, that is also true. there's something little further I want you all to go with this idea. It is all well and good for the mind and the body, this particular individual, to say just be in the present, just be in meditation, just let go, just move on with life, etc., etc. But what is one little small step further, which is actually a huge jump? What is that?
Celebrate.
Experience the beauty of small things. Okay, that is also true. Yeah, just have some chai. यार क्या इतनी शोर शराबा कर रहे हो? चाय पी लो.
I am with you.
I am with you. I
Hmm.
am with you. Okay, I
You
am with
reach
you.
the manzil,
You have reached the manzil. Yeah.
reach the destination.
Yeah, yeah, because in a way you're right. You are already that. There is no destination, there is no path, there is no journey. You're always at the destination, only we think we are not.
Okay.
So in a way that is true. What else? Yeah, you are all correct and great answers, great responses. One more step, one more little step, but it's actually a very, very powerful leap. What can we Okay, before that, I want to share about a
Give some clue.
Okay, I will. So, um, it is about the small self and the big self. In that context, what does it mean to say, let's have some chai? Okay, it's a little थोड़ा सा subtle है वो आसानी से शायद आना आ भी सकता है. But anyway, I wanted to share last week. I think I shared this dream about Hanuman. Um that drama that was being directed, and I kind of woke up in between and went back in the dream. So it was always, I realized that that was a lucid dream after I woke up, that I dreamt lucidly and I wrote about this dream,
Okay.
that it was
Okay.
a uh, but but last night, it was a very, very unimaginably wonderful experience. So I had a dream that we were actually at a wedding yesterday evening, and then we stayed back at the resort. So the dream was also about weddings, and it was my daughter's wedding. And we had two houses where all the guests were there, and the bride and groom were in one house, and the everyone was else was at another house. And somehow I needed to go to that other house. And I went on my own thinking that I know the way. This is all in the dream. And then I realized that I'm lost. I had no clue where I was, and I had no address, no GPS, no cell phone, nothing, and I'm just lost. And 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 I'm walking around in this house, different houses I'm going in, and it's not at all. And I knew it's right there. But then I woke up, half woke up, and then I said, "Oh, it's just a dream." So I'm not really lost, and I can just go back and see what happens. Let me go see what happens. Let me see how I can find that house. And I went back in the dream, and I'm running everywhere, and suddenly I came to an cliff, and it was a big drop. There was these water tanks, and it was a big drop, like 3 4 stories, 4 floors drop. And the only way to go was either jump or go back, and I was already lost. Then I said, "Oh, I cannot jump. I'll if I jump from fourth floor, I'll just get so badly hurt." But then the thought came to me, wait a second, it's a dream. I can jump, nothing will happen. And so I consciously decided to jump, and I jumped, and I just jumped, and I just bounced. I just bounced back up. And then I'm saying, wait a second, it's a dream. Why just bounce? I can even fly. And then I was flying, and it was just unbelievable. I was just flying, and this desire to fly in a dream has been a desire to fly. For years, I wanted to fly in a dream. Really, you had this dream?
I always wanted to fly.
Really? You
Means
always, if,
not in a plane like that. No?
yeah, just
Fly, fly.
fly. The body
The
flies with,
body
I
flies.
know, and that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. I was able to just fly, and I remember that scene so perfectly. I'm just flying, and I'm like, "Oh, I did it!" And I was conscious, I was awake, and yet dreaming. It was a perfect lucid dream, and it was, and then I landed, and I was walking in one passage, and again I walked past one altar, okay, and I said, "Wait, I missed that altar." So, and I want to see what's on that altar. I don't want to miss anything. And I said, "This is a dream, so I can turn back because I'm awake." So I turned back and I went back to that altar. So it was such an amazing lucid experience. I went back, and it was an altar, and there was a Buddha on that altar, and some incense and a lamp and all that. And I just looked at it and I said, "Oh, I was walking by and I was missing it. And because it's lucid, I was able to turn back." And it just went on and on like this. And I just kept doing things which I wanted to do, which I was, it was so. And then the insight out of that as I was waking up was, what we talked about in the last time, which is that this life itself is also just that. Just we decide we can't do it, and it is time for us to start seeing how to warp space, bend time, because this is all just a dream. This is all just a dream. We really can just do whatever this consciousness wants to have happen can happen, because it is the dream of consciousness. And in that dream, uh, we can make things happen. We can literally make this Russian Ukraine war end if we really want to make it stop. Okay, so let's at least collectively make that choice. Make that choice. Enough of this nightmare.
Wish.
Enough of this nightmare. Let this war end. Let people wake up to who they really are and decide on their own that enough is enough. That's the only way this nightmare is going to end, is when we say, okay, bas bahut ho gaya abhi. All right, so let's make it happen. So we'll close with so the realization, or the third choice, which is what the message of that Zen master is when he says, chalo chalo chai peete hain, is to really wake up to the truth that there is no separate self existing. Doesn't exist. Does not exist. There's no reality to it. And that even if we go into prayer, even if we go into meditation, even if we go into sadhana, those are all subtle ways of giving reality, giving substance, giving support to this idea of a separate self. You understand what I'm saying? Even prayer, even meditation, even all of this wonderful activity, in a way, supports the existence. You're keeping on still saying somewhere behind that Sanjiv is praying, Purushottamji is meditating, he's in bhajan, he's singing, she's praying, she's thinking. In all of it, there is a subtle support being given to this separate self. And the separate self is being allowed to exist and be wonderful. It's much better than what's going on in the world, no doubt. But it is still a simple support for that. And that the ultimate message which was being given by the Zen master is that of it actually does not exist. This separate self does not even exist. So all discussion and all uh, philosophy and all the books about this separate self only goes towards establishing or supporting that existence. And in fact, there is no separate self. In fact, there is only consciousness. In fact, there is only divine. In fact, there is only oneness. And rather than in any subtle form giving support to this, simply withdrawing even that, surrendering to that level. See, this is what they say. This is what they mean when they say that jo to surrender to the flame is to die in the flame. To truly surrender to the flame, the moth ceases to exist. The moth dies in the flame. And we have heard this from Rumi and from so many, you know, क्या कहते हैं उसे हिंदी में जो what is the word for moth? It is a law में the
इसमें में
जो
गल जाना, इसमें गल जाना,
हाँ गल जाना जल जाना
परवाना परवाना
परवाना परवाना
एक हो जाना
क्षमा
उसके
कहे
साथ।
परवाने से परे चला जा मेरी तरह जल जाएगा
जाएगा
यहाँ
पास
नहीं आ
में
pass nahi aa, because it is there in every poetry and in all the deepest philosophies. But this is what they mean, that no matter how subtle the support, finally the final answer is to disappear, is to completely disappear. The body, the mind disappears. And see, this is the highest state. And
આપણે
in
ઓગળી જવું કહીએ ઈ અંદર
yeah yeah
ઓગળી જવું.
yeah to melt away, to burn away, to disappear, yeah, to melt, to become one with that,
હા,
to become
ઓગળી
one,
જવું એ.
yeah, to become one with that, the self must eventually disappear. And that disappeared self, that completely ephemeral self, when that self operates in the world, that is the plane of the siddhas and the avduts, where they've so disappeared that the physical world really has lost any control and power over them. So that's the third choice. So, and I think the second and third choice are both better than the first one. तो हार मान लेना और अपने आप को खो देना, अपने आप को खो देना, क्योंकि हार मानने के लिए भी मैं तो मौजूद हूं. एंड द लास्ट वन इज वेयर वो हारने के लिए भी आप नहीं हो, आप बिल्कुल खो गए इस भंवर में, इस दुनिया में, इस वननेस में, इस कॉन्शियसनेस में, बिकमिंग वन विद दैट.
आप जो हमेशा बोलते हैं आप जो हमेशा बोलते हैं कि ये प्रेयर और मेडिटेशन ये भी ठीक है लेकिन
या
आप
वही हो, दैट इज द
यू आर
अल्टीमेट.
दैट
यू आर
यू आर
ऑलरेडी
दैट
दैट, यू आर ऑलरेडी दैट. एग्जैक्टली. या हाँ प्रतिभा बेन बोलो. यू आर स्टिल ऑन म्यूट. वेट.
આપણે ગુજરાતીમાં એમ કે એની સાથે એક આકાર થઈ જવું, એકાકાર.
Right.
એકાકાર થઈ જવું એમ.
Right. Go to such an extent that when you show up, that shows up.
એટલે એની સાથે એકાકાર થઈ ગયા એમ. I can't explain you properly. Which I
Right.
understand, I said you.
Yeah. So, yeah, correct. एकाकार उस हद तक, एकाकार उस हद तक कि जब when you appear, consciousness appears. When you speak, divine speaks. When you listen, divine listens. That's where we are headed, and that's our journey. That's our path, and that's what this open door is for, and that's what it's all about. Wonderful. Thank you. Hari Om Tat Sat.